Don't miss the Green and Growing Show in the noon to 9 p.m. hours on Eagle TV. Ellis County Horticulture Agent Holly Dickman will identify common lawn and garden issues while providing up-to-date information. Watch weekdays in the noon to 9 p.m. hours on Channel 14 or 614. Green and Growing, brought to you by Riedel's Garden Center, a full-service garden center west of Hayes on Highway 40, and Eagle TV.
With our current weather conditions, it takes a real expert to create landscape that'll thrive. Riedel's Garden Center has the staff with the expertise of water requirements for plants, lawns, and landscapes that'll stand up to our changing weather conditions. With 25 years of hands-on experience, owner Darren Riedel will customize a landscape design and irrigation system to meet your expectations and our climate. It's recommended to protect your lawn using Fertilome products available at Riedel's Garden Center, an authorized dealer. Call or stop by Riedel's Garden Center today.
Well, it's gardening season and a lot of people have things growing right now, and we're here at the Backyard Family Garden at the Ag Research Center to talk about some things to consider when you have a garden. Maybe it's your first garden and you're just getting started. One of the most important things, I think, is to pay attention to the garden. You know, hopefully you're out looking at it on a regular basis. Sometimes it's not always convenient if you work full-time like I do, but I always take time to go out at night and at least see how things are going. It's really important, especially when it comes to pests. And so we have some potatoes growing here at the Ag Research Center, and one of the major pests of potatoes is the Colorado potato beetle. And unfortunately, this is one of those pests that you really need to scout for. And one of the easiest things to do if you find them, especially on a real small planting like this, is just go ahead and pick them off. You know, go through, and if you see the adults, pick them off by hand, throw them in a bucket of soapy water, or do something to destroy them, and make sure you try to remove them. Now, a lot of people like to use some sort of spray or chemicals. Unfortunately, that Colorado potato beetle is resistant to a lot of the common insecticides that we use in our gardens. So that's why it's really important to pay attention, catch them early. It's not necessarily the adult, that striped beetle, that does the bulk of the damage. It's the larvae. And those adults overwinter in garden debris or in weedy fence rows or something, and then once that plant starts to grow, they start laying eggs, and then you start to have those eggs hatching, and that's when you have a lot of foliage damage, a lot of feeding going on, which can ultimately affect your potato crop. So it's important to go out and look at your plants, check around for damage, check around for insects. And in the case of the Colorado potato beetles, you might also be looking at the undersides of the leaves, so you can look for eggs. And if you find things like that, go ahead and remove them. Like I said, you can remove eggs. You can remove the actual physical insect. But if you think, you know, maybe you have a large patch of potatoes and it's just not practical to go through and scout everything and pick everything, there are some products out there that you can use. It's called Bacillus thuringiensis. There's a couple different ones out there on the market for potato beetles. One of them is called M1, which I think homeowners could find, and there's another one called Trident. And these are products that are more organic. They're considered safe for mammals and birds and things like that. Now, while I'm talking about looking at your plants and looking for pests, you know, sometimes you'll find things that you want there, like ladybugs, and we're seeing a few ladybugs here and there throughout this garden, which is great. That's a beneficial insect. So this just brings up that good point that you really need to know what that insect is. Make sure you're aware of what it is and what it's actually doing. Sometimes they're not hurting the plant at all, they're actually helping you. So in the case of lady beetles, like we have some here on our plants, you know, they feed on other insects, and so spraying a broad use insecticide, for example 7 or permethrin, will not only kill your pest, but it could also kill those beneficials. So you need to be aware of what you're using and take into accordance what you're trying to control and what you may be unsuspectingly hurt in the process. Other things to consider when you have a new garden: potatoes, we have onions growing this spring, rhubarb. If you've never seen rhubarb, this is what it looks like as a plant. Asparagus, we have some asparagus planted. This was an interesting venture because none of us had planted asparagus before, and so if you're not familiar with that, you actually have to dig a trench about 8 inches deep and put the crown of the asparagus in that trench, and then finally as it comes up you start to fill in the trench around it. So it's kind of a unique vegetable, but it is also a perennial vegetable, which means it comes back year after year after year. So you plant it once and you can have that asparagus in your garden for years to come. So if you're getting started with gardening, or you're having some pest concerns, or you have questions about what you're finding, contact your local extension office. We can generally help you out. If we don't know the answer, we have lots of great people we can call at the university that can help us. So please contact your local extension office for more information. Reporting for K-State Research and Extension and Eagle TV, I'm Holly Dickman, Ellis County Horticulture Extension Agent.
Don't miss the Green and Growing Show in the noon to 9 p.m. hours on Eagle TV. Ellis County Horticulture Agent Holly Dickman will identify common lawn and garden issues while providing up-to-date information. Watch weekdays in the noon to 9 p.m. hours on Channel 14 or 614. Green and Growing, brought to you by Riedel's Garden Center, a full-service garden center west of Hayes on Highway 40, and Eagle TV.
With our current weather conditions, it takes a real expert to create landscape that'll thrive. Riedel's Garden Center has the staff with the expertise of water requirements for plants, lawns, and landscapes that'll stand up to our changing weather conditions. With 25 years of hands-on experience, owner Darren Riedel will customize a landscape design and irrigation system to meet your expectations and our climate. It's recommended to protect your lawn using Fertilome products available at Riedel's Garden Center, an authorized dealer. Call or stop by Riedel's Garden Center today.